and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Art with Chris Things.
Ray! Do the hammerlock! I do the hammerlock! Ray! Do the hammerlock, you turkey necks! Yeah, do the hammerlock! I do the hammerlock!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Art with Chris Things. I don't know why I did that really quiet thing. I guess I was listening to a little bit of NPR today. But alas, this is not NPR. This is Wrestling Art with Chris Things. I'm Chris Things, your host this week and every week, and I'm stoked to have you on board again. This is episode 5 of our podcast here. This is our weekly Match of the Week edition, where we, what I've done is, pick my favorite match that happened, or that I happened to watch that week. I liked it enough that I made an art of it, and then I decided to get all excited and I want to talk about it. So that's what this is. So there's this week's Match of the Week is a great one that I was very stoked about. And CMLL in Arena Mexico from January of this year. That being our first ever CMLL Lucha Libre edition, I thought I should probably have someone on the show, who was equipped to talk about such a thing. And there is a gentleman out there who I may have on the line, who I spent many a night in the day drinking some fancy beers, smoking some sometimes fancy bud, and watching some bloody great Mexican wrestling with, and just having some of the best times of my life. But without further ado, welcome to the show, my bloody best mate in the whole wide world, David.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I was actually wondering whether or not we were going to mention the whole weed and drinking beers thing, but I'm glad to know we can get that cat's out of the bag quickly.
Yeah, I feel like it would. You need to give like a proper kind of insight into the life, and you can't do that if you're making this big secret of weed and beer.
No, you got to get that in, dude. You got to enjoy some of life's simple pleasures, I think, as well as the wrestling.
Nothing wrong with that.
As well as the wrestling, we've had a lot of nights just coming over and watching wrestling and falling asleep on the couch watching it. So I feel like it's one of our very great loves, and yeah, great bonding points.
Absolutely, man. If we counted the amount of hours that we've watched wrestling together over the years, that'd be a lot of hours.
Yeah, it'd be at least 4.
Maybe a wee bit more, I don't know.
But at least 4.
At least 4.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time it's Noah, I'd say, generally speaking, but I think a good amount of CMLL too. And I worked out you were like the only person that I know, other than like Ben a little bit, but who like knows a little bit about CMLL, and we can like have a chat-ski about it,
Yeah, that'd be really good. Well, I'm glad you come my way so we can have a chat about it, because it was really good. So I know you, because you sent through the message asking if you'd want to look at the match, but I watched a couple of other. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off this week, but I watched a couple of the other matches.
Oh yeah, on the same show.
I was a bit behind. Yeah, I was a bit behind on CMLL, but yeah, I watched a couple of other ones. The Sandra will bite my head off if I get the word wrong, but essentially the Australian relay, the Relevanos or something, Australianos.
Oh yeah,
the Australian relay tag rules match, which is really good.
Did you know that the Australian I'm failing already, but the Australian rules tag team thing, I found, that's just like all tag team rules in Mexico. They're all called Australianos.
Yeah, it was literally because it was like they just wanted to put an exotic name to it, isn't it? And they thought Australia, yeah, that's exotic.
Well, I thought for a long time, but I was doing some research, and I think it's because of a very famous Australian wrestling tag team, the Fabulous Kangaroos.
I don't think I've ever heard of them before in my entire life.
Really?
No, please fill me in.
Dog, they were like honestly one of the most like famous like tag teams of all time that set up a lot of kind of the tropes. It was like a heel tag team that we kind of know now for like tag team wrestling, of like matching gear, the kind of like double teaming shit, the like heel stuff, like Al Costello and Roy Heffernan, I believe, were the first two, but there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they started it all.
That was fucking ages ago, though.
Hey,
Jesus. I know Costello, but that was ages ago.
yeah, I think like the 50s was maybe when they started, but their heyday was kind of the 60s and 70s, I think. But yeah, rad like team, and they had a fucking boomerang as their foreign object, dude.
Oh.
And they just played up this like whole ass like pro-Australian guys, and all the Americans and Mexicans sucked.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Well, here you go. The more you know.
Yeah. So I guess they were popular in Mexico at a time, and they that's the reason why it's always called Australian Tag Team Rules, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, because I was talking to Sandra last night about it, and who's Spanish as well. And she was just like, "Oh, it's a relay." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, the rules are regardless of something." But like, yeah, the actual word means relay. I was like, "Oh, cool. Oh, that's very fun."
I mean, I guess in a sense, a tag team match is a relay, right?
Yeah, like you're tagging in, the next person takes over. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. But yeah, so I watched. Long story short, I did watch a couple of other like matches on the show as well. I figured I'd treat myself. Yeah, there's some lovely stuff there. There was a bit of Mephisto in there. There was some there was Blue Panther.
Oh, my personal favorite luchador of all time, Blue Panther.
Blue Panther was so funny. Such great like facial expressions. He's like, oh, I know he's an old guy. He's been demasked, but fuck, he can still go. Like,
oh man,
just everything he was doing, all the tropes in his match. When he went to do his popped him up. They did the knuckle lock, popped him up, going for the monkey flip, and then he just stands there and he's like holding the back of his knees. The other guy's holding the back of Blue Panther's knee. And just the way he looks around the audience, and you can see like the sheer excitement of people just being able to be entertained by this like luchador legend, I think was just so funny.
It's just the best thing in the world. I mean, the thing I love the most about it is the way he plays it up as well. Like, as like a aging, middle-aged Mexican man, like he sort of has this great bit where he'll like pull off this crazy shit, whether he's doing like a sweet tope or like his like tilt-a-whirl backbreakers or whatever, and like he'll sell on his face like he's fucking stoked and surprised as shit that he's actually pulled it off.
Yeah, he's just like, I still got it.
Like, he can't believe it though, but he's like, yeah, I can still fucking do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I absolutely love it. He's great. That's one thing I really like about the Australian relay, is it lets these guys that have like obviously not doing the big dives anymore, you know, but they still really get to shine with like the entertainment side of it.
Yeah, and it's like all on how good the Rudos are as well.
Yeah.
Like the dudes that they're working with, especially when you got guys that are fucking as great as like Ultimo Guerrero or like Averno or Hechicero or any of these dudes. But yeah, it's just a treat.
Yeah, because Hechicero was in the match as well. He's so good.
Just such a fucking master.
Yeah, so amazing. And then Euphoria.
Oh yeah, he's so great, man.
Yeah.
Another one of these like unsung dudes that people don't like hear as much about, but like you watch him and you're just like, this motherfucker makes everyone look so damn good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just goes. Yeah, I just really appreciate the Rudos when it comes to that kind of stuff. And like, you know, Rudos obviously making the Technicos look good. Technicos obviously putting over the Rudos when they do something dastardly or, you know, underhanded, come out on top. I just love the flow of Lucha Libre. I think it's just such a nice, entertaining kind of show to watch as well.
Absolutely.
Like you obviously don't have all the huge battles like in Japanese wrestling. Like when we watch Noah, I feel like they're two very far ends of the same stick, but at the end of the day, you're being entertained, and that's the point of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got the colours, you've got the artistry, you've got the tail of the tape coming into it. You've got the lovely ladies on the entrance ramp who are dancing for us. Well,
have you noticed that of late they've their outfits have gotten a bit more subdued than the early days when we used to watch CMLL?
Hey Chris, I definitely have, but I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to say a bit more respectful. But yeah, I think I did notice when I was just like, oh wow, that must be quite cold in Mexico tonight. They're all covered up.
Sign of the times. Say I'm not making any statements here, but
Yeah,
like whatever they want to wear, that's fine. That's fine.
yeah, I'm about it, you know. But no, it was there's some amazing matches on the card. Really, really had fun watching it. Yeah, 89 years of CMLL. Fuck.
Dude, it's this was a show from January, so they're up past the official 90 mark now.
Yeah,
It's wild.
yeah, yeah. I know. It's like that's crazy. Our show can just be so like successful for so long. Like obviously, it had some dark years.
I love it. I think the key, yeah, they've had some ups and downs, but I think the key is that they own their buildings. I think that probably helps a lot. The fact that they actually own
Yeah,
Arena
that
Mexico, Arena Coliseo,
Yeah.
Arena Coliseo Guadalajara. I think I can't remember the other one, but yeah, that's obviously a big help there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really dig the simplicity of lucha. Like I watch a lot of wrestling. We watch like Noah or all sorts of different shit. All Japan, but then watching lucha is just, and like CML specifically, it's just kind of like a breath of fresh air sometimes. And I think it's cause of like the simplicity, like you're saying, like the Rudos are like being these roughhouse assholes.
Yeah.
The Technicos are doing all this rad shit, and also like the thing that I love the most about it is the crowd. Right? Have you like got much of a sense of like the kind of like crowd of Arena Mexico?
Oh, I love it. Just watching, you're seeing them get so animated as well. And there's always like, I don't know whether they're related or there's always just a family that's in the front row with this old guy that's slightly overweight, that's always overreacting, and he's always gesturing at the ref as if the ref's going to take his point on board. And he's always just like, he shakes his hands at it and he's like, come on, count. It's just like, and he goes, what? So at one point through the sorry to skip ahead to like the Volador and Romero match.
No, please. That's what we're here to talk about.
But at one point during the Romero match, when Romero put his feet up on the ropes, you could see him in the background stand up and get animated. He's like, come on, he's cheating. But it's so funny. Like,
I adore that this guy kind of feels like he's personally offended that the referee isn't taking on board his personal critique.
Yeah, it's like going backstage. Oh, it's like going back into the kitchen of a restaurant and say, hey, you should use more garlic. And the chef's all suddenly going, yeah, let's put more garlic in. Let's take on like all of these recipes. We might have just gotten one slightly wrong, but you know what? Let's take your opinion on board. But I love him.
Yeah,
for sure. I love him.
Customers are always right, my friend.
That's it. Repeat customers. That's where it's at. That's where the money is, especially for a place as big as these arenas that they run. Lovely luchador wrestling out of. Sorry, I have also just woken up. So.
No, you're doing well, man. You're doing well. Do you know Arena Mexico actually has its own restaurant that they built in the last few years, where you can like sit in this restaurant. They'll bring you food, bring you your drinks, and you're like sitting there on the second level, like actually just getting to watch like live wrestling in front of you. Isn't that just the dream?
Mate, I'd have to go. I think if I went, I would be quite selfish with it. And I think I would have a couple of days where I'd have to take myself to some wrestling. Or we'd have to take ourselves to some wrestling.
Absolutely. God. Dude, it's always been on my bucket list. Like, of all of the rad wrestling venues I've been to, like, Arena Mexico is the fucking one. I can't wait. I'd love to go there for, like, a big anniversary show or some shit.
Yeah. I'd have to do a couple. I'd have to do Arena Mexico, Coliseo as well. It'd be a bit of travel involved, but shit, it'd be worth it.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I think they do such a great job with the crowd too. Like, so what I was mentioning before is like, so they got a bit of a unique breakup of the crowd. So you got kind of like hardcore CMLL regulars, and that's probably like the kind of dudes that you were talking about, like in those first few rows. They're just there every fucking week. It's just like that's their life. They have season holder tickets or whatever. So you got your like hardcores, but then also just intersplice with like all these tourists. and especially like some American tourists, you see them every week, and they're always drunk off their fucking tits, dude. Like, I love it so much. They have no idea what the fuck wrestling even is, but they're just enjoying it so fucking much.
Oh, fucking, I love that so much. But that's what I find so lovely about wrestling is you can just like you don't have to know the whole backstory to these things. They're so like, especially in lucha libre, it's so obvious who the big names are and who the guys are, like the up and comers, because you can just watch either the rest of the audience or like how they build the cards throughout the night. I suppose the same with like a lot of wrestling. You have like the smaller names on first, and then it comes to the bigger names in the championship matches later in the night. But it's also got to do with like I suppose it helps, yeah, because they own the arena, so everything in it is geared towards the wrestlers. So like the lighting effects, the sounds, the noises, yeah, or again watching all the rest of the audience go off. And then you can always, again, have like a local sitting next to you that will tell you like what's going on.
Oh, dude, for sure. I mean, that's one of the magical things about lucha libre specifically. Like, I remember talking to my buddy John, who would like go down to Tijuana and like catch a lot of the crash shows, and he would say like his favorite part was he'd sit there and he'd have these like fucking lucha libre grannies that you just happen to be sitting next to, and they would just school him up on like tell him everything that was going on, give him like fucking beers and share their treats with him or whatever. I had the same thing when I went to like Dragon Gate in Kyoto one time, maybe Kobe, I can't remember, but yeah, this like delightful little like old Japanese granny who was just there and like so happy to talk to me about like Dragon Gate and share a little treats with me. Like, that's what wrestling is. That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so funny because you watch, if ever you watch, which we probably don't watch a lot of, but whenever you watch like WWE, you see kids in the crowd wearing like Rey Mysterio masks, and you go, oh, that's really nice, like people. But then you watch like CMLL, and there's like adults in the crowd wearing Templario masks.
Yeah.
They're wearing Dragon Rojo Jr. masks. You see them. I saw a couple of kids. Cavernario. Oh god, my brain's a mess. Cavernario?
Yeah, Cavernario El Barbaro, caveman dude.
Yeah, El Barbaro. That was what I was thinking. You saw kids in the audience waving these little bones, and I just thought it was so funny because you're getting this mix of like usually you just see like the kids with the tropes and all that kind of stuff, and usually you see the adults or the markers in the audience wearing like a smart shirt, like a shirt with some smart phrase on it or something. But here you're seeing like adults get involved in it too. Adults wearing the mask, adults like waving the wrestlers' iconography and it's in the air.
Just delightful.
I just think it's so good that it extends like a whole lifehood.
It's just a true melding of all areas of different ages, everyone just getting into it and enjoying it together.
Yeah.
All the adults just being so fucking drunk on margaritas and beer. That's what wrestling's meant to be.
I love it. You can see like it's so funny when they pan to the audience and you just see the sheer amount of people that just like raise their beers when they're on, like they realize they're on camera, or they shake their beers and everyone gets a little wet. That's always a bit fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
But no, nothing wrong with that. Like I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, dude! On the note of the margaritas, I had something so weird that I learned recently. So my brother's girlfriend is Mexican, toughness.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll like talk about. She doesn't know that much about like lucha libre specifically, but just knows enough like from the heritage, like whole cultural side of it. And I was telling her about how rad it is, like everyone's there with these margaritas, and then she's like, oh, they must be the tourists because like actual Mexicans wouldn't be drinking margaritas. And I was like, what? That blew my mind.
What? No, don't tell me that. I suppose that's like finding out, like every time I come here and people find out, I go to a bar here, people find out I'm Australian after I open my mouth and order a single beer. They're like, oh, you sure you wouldn't want a Foster's? And I was like, no. It's export only. It's only for the tourists. Oh.
Oh, man. Australians and their bloody love for Foster's.
I know. So what? They don't drink the margaritas.
Yeah, wild.
Is there Is there something they know that we don't?
I don't know. I need to find out more. Maybe they're just like they're quite expensive, like at like especially like a Mexican wrestling show. So they like jack up the prices for the margaritas, so they're like 3 times they would normally be, where locals would get their margaritas elsewhere. So that's why they just drink beers. I don't know. I'll have to do some investigationing on this.
Yes, investigation aid.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do my best. But
yes.
So the match in question. That
yes.
Actually, you know what? Let's rewind a little bit before we get on to the match. I want to give a little bit of background about. So I said how we used to, watch Mexican wrestling together. But in case people didn't know, this fellow that is on the line right now, David, he used to wrestle under a mask himself. So this gives like a special amount of insight to the lucha libre, I would say. One half of the Underwater Alliance from back in the day, Koi Bombora, for those who are not clued in. But so I mean, you used to wrestle in Brisbane.
Yes. Yeah.
Quite a while. How many years all up?
Oh my God. There was a good gap in the middle there, and I was having quite a lot of problems with my spine. But I think I started in 2010, the year. So my last year of school, very last year of school, a friend of mine, Kelso Cajones, took me to a backyard where someone had a wrestling ring set up, and he goes, "Did you want to learn how to be a professional wrestler?" And Kelso at this point is the same age as me, but he'd already been wrestling for 4 or 5 years.
How does that work? He's like wrestling at the age of 14.
IPW. But yeah, so, and then Kelso's, I don't know, Kelso for me has always had one of the most entertaining minds in professional wrestling. He understands that people just want to be entertained. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Give people like a great character and give them something to talk about, not just inside the ring, but like the character work outside of it. And yeah, he kind of just made that like a really important aspect. And when he first started teaching us, when you're learning like the basic holds and then how to move around a ring and all that kind of stuff. And then one thing that really took me was masks and stuff in wrestling. So people wearing masks, people wearing, because you see a lot of people in like black tights and really serious, like, look at me wrestlers, look how much I can beat other people up wrestlers, which I love in a certain aspect of wrestling, but I also kind of miss like the flair that's in it. So that really drew me to like that side of wrestling, like the lucha libre side of wrestling, and then the movement around the ring, like the athleticism. I thought it was all just really cool. But yeah, so probably about 10 years ago, I'd say.
That's awesome.
About 10 years ago, I started wrestling properly. But yeah, started training in 2010.
And then more recently, after the moving on from your underwater fish masked character, Koi Bombora,
yes.
you took on another character where, I mean, was there a point where you guys went to jail as fishmen, and then you found Kelso Cajones, otherwise known as Cockroach, in the local Wacol prison, and then you guys came out hardened criminals as Wacol's most wanted, as your new guys of Skinny D?
Yep. So yeah, that was a tough couple of years in prison. Like the shit you see. I was walking around everywhere with a sharpened bar of soap. Yeah, it gets a little slick in the showers, but that's okay. So we came back out as Skinny D and the Cockroach, which was fun again. And again, like, that's as much fun as I had with it and Kelso had with it, and we had fun planning the matches. This is all like Cockroaches or Mr. Kelso Cajones kind of brain at work here. Just going like, there's a lot of serious people or people who want to be great wrestlers. And honestly, you watch wrestling in Brisbane at the moment and it's coming so true. Like, you've got these other guys that are doing so well that are traveling around at the moment, doing lots of things. But we just wanted to be like a fun little entertainment bit and then just really like kick it into fifth gear. Like, what would two scrappy little criminals who are trying to make their way in the world, you know, there's a lot of people who want to win gold so they can be champions. There's a lot of people who want to win gold so they can be immortalized. They want the paycheck. We just wanted the gold so we could sell it at cash converters to be able to get some money to pay for our next meal. Like, that was.
I love it
We were
so
never
much.
in 2 minds about it. We were never in 2 minds about it. It was win the gold, sell the gold, get a succulent Chinese meal.
so iconically Australian right there. I love that gimmick so much, dude. Like, I always put it over. I feel like it was such a great thing. Like, when you see something that, like, again, we're getting back to these kind of like wrestling fans that aren't like hardcore wrestling fans. People you wouldn't even call them wrestling fans, you know? They're just seeing this thing and they're like, what the fuck is this wrestling deal? And they see like two dudes in like orange jumpsuits who are just like these weird, creepy like criminals, and they get it immediately, and it's fucking great. Like, one of the last times I saw you guys wrestle before you end up live in UK before you left. One of the last time I saw you guys wrestle was at it was a music festival. So most of the people watching this, again, they don't even really know. They're like, what the fuck is this like thing? There's like a ring here, and then they're watching it, and there were so many characters on that show they like were just confused by, or they just kind of like respond with kind of like apathy. You guys were easily the most over thing on that show, because like the gimmick was like so instantly like you see it, you get it, and like you did such a great job with the comedy and everything element of it. Yeah, I can't put it over enough, man. It was great act, and I hope to see maybe more of it in the future.
Oh, I'd love to do more of that in the future. That was, I've never had so much fun wrestling than I did with Kelso, or the Cockroach. He's so fun to work with. He's so open to new ideas, trying new things. And honestly, he is unkillable as a cockroach. He will do anything. He's fallen off so many things in his life. But I don't know whether it's Australians just loving criminals, but yeah, people saw the orange jumpsuits and they just saw that it was a bit different. It wasn't as clean cut as the rest of other people's like skin tight gear. It was a bit baggier. We're both like, Kelso's in a bit better shape, but like we're not built like wrestlers, but just built like a couple of dudes who did just spend some time in prison and just kind of wasted away there. But I think people saw it, people loved it, and also being able to wave shirts in front of people's faces, and say like, if you buy this shirt, you're supporting local crime, and they would.
And I was very, very proud to have designed said shirt. That's one of my finest moments.
Design is absolutely amazing. The shirts that are printed on, people come back to us later and say like, I can't even mention the number of times I've had people go like, does this guy do more of this? Like, who designed it? And it's easy. You just pass them on to Chris Things.
Aww.
And they look through your artwork. They look through it. So even here in the UK, the guy who runs the local Warhammer store has a Wacol's Most Wanted shirt. And you'll see him, you'll walk in there every Thursday and you'll see him wearing it. It's absolutely lovely.
Oh, beautiful.
He absolutely loves it. He loves the design. And it ties it all back to you as well, mate. Like your style of art is, I feel, is like, to me, it's the most captivating. There's always fun things to find in it. It's not always obvious. Like, you look at the Wacol's Most Wanted thing, I think is like such a great piece of art, because so many people look at it for ages and they're just like, oh, there's two dudes. Oh, there's two dudes punching a guy in the head. Oh, that guy's eyes are coming out of his head. Why is there a burning Camry in it? like, there's just so much stuff. And then like you look at the facial expressions, and then when you marry it up with the photo that it's actually taken from, and you see how you've like caricatured them in your own way, in your own art style, it just makes it so much more lovely. Like, I love the amount of effort that you put into your art, Chris.
Oh, and, thanks, man.
Especially that piece, because that was like, you did it for us. But there's so many other bits of art that you've done that are like amazing, non-wrestling related art as well, like the pieces that, like the Christmas presents,
Oh yeah, the
which are
Christmas
lovely.
commissions. Yeah, thanks, dude.
The Christmas Commission conundrum. Yeah, that one.
So great.
That was lovely.
That was actually delightful. I will explain to our listeners. So completely separately, David and his partner Sandra approached me for a Christmas present commission for each other. So I did was a shirt for Sandra of like a reference of you guys' kind of thing together. And then for you, I did a art print of like a picture of Sandra from when you guys were in was it Western Australia?
We were in Kakadu. We were in Northern Territory. We're going for a few hikes through Northern Territory there. Yeah, Kakadu.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, it's
some incredible looking photos you guys talk about. Yeah, so this lovely one of Sandra outlooking this beautiful vista, and then you had like the best commission idea of could you do like our cats as like giant cats that are just. Did you have the idea that they're like destroying the place, or that they're shooting lasers out of their eyes, burning the things, or was that sort of a
burning the landscape?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just saw a Godzilla poster of like him firing out a laser beam, and I thought, Jesus, that's so funny. Like just like Godzilla destroying the city. It's like who would want to go watch a movie about a lizard that's just crushing Tokyo? You know who would? Me. Everyone, Chris.
Of course.
Everyone would want to see that.
Everyone should love kaiju.
Why not? Woman goes on hike and discovers two enormous, like two kaiju-lithic cats firing laser beams, one at the forest and one at the other's ass. But yeah, so completely separately we'd approached you, and then you were so sneaky about it.
I didn't want to spoil the surprise.
Oh mate, we could not stop laughing. We absolutely could not stop laughing when we handed each other the gifts and opened them. Because the best thing was as we were giving gifts at Christmas, she actually handed me the shirt and she was smiling like so broadly, and she's like trying to chuckle under her breath. And I was just like, oh, I've got a present for you too. And I like gave her that, and we opened them at the same time. He looked at it at the same time, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? So funny. But yeah, like it, even though you've got the same art style that goes through all of your works, or you're not exactly the same, but you have your flair.
Yeah, I try to make it sort of distinctive, recognizable.
But it's like it hits so many different parts. It hits so many different parts of your life. Like you can have commission pieces that just look so nice, as well as like your wrestling pieces. And then one piece you've done is the Rocky Romero and Volador Jr. piece.
Oh, this is true. You're bringing it all back.
Yeah, so
you're an experienced podcaster over here,
mate. I've done that. I'm giving you all the works here. No, but yeah. So like, yeah, you've got your wrestling pieces, and then this is the match of the week.
It is.
So I love it. So this piece. Should we talk about?
Sure. I think we've had a good sidebar here to like, and now we bring it back. We're back to current time. It's almost like got a Pulp Fiction kind of movie where we like, you have a throwback, you have a side scene, not necessarily in chronological order here. We keep it interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now we're up to the match. This match took place on January 20th of this year in Mexico City, Arena Mexico. Little bit of so it's Rocky Romero challenging for the championship of Volador Jr. was set up the prior week where they had this little impromptu match, and then Rocky won, and so now he's challenging for the title, and then this is the big match, and man, I fucking loved it. It was so great.
I think it was so great. Like it had a different pace to every other thing that happened on the night. There was a bit more cheek in it. There's Rocky Romero, which like threw some slaps. They did like hug against the ropes, and then like Rocky gave him like a little couple of pats on the cheek, really trying to antagonize Volador Jr.
Like there was so much in it that wasn't throughout the rest of the card, and I think it's like it's down to Rocky himself. Like I'll always love Rocky as a wrestler, but I just think the sheer amount of cheek and sass that he puts into it.
Dude, and I think that's what like connected it to, like, we're talking about these kind of casual fans, right? I think the reason why, like, they got so invested in it, especially by the end,
Yeah.
that like and I think it's all because of that kind of stuff, because it was a bit early on where, like, Rocky goes for like a handshake, like a, you know, a fuck you kind of like shit eating handshake kind of deal, and Volador Jr.'s like, no. So then he gets him against the ropes and gives him this like big, like over the top fake like hug.
Yeah.
And you can notice in that moment the crowd's like, oh, you fucking asshole. And then it was just like off from there.
Yeah. But there was like so much cheek and so much sass. Like even in their chain wrestling, when Rocky's just like, he'll just like quickly reverse stuff, and then he'll get up and he'll be a bit of a dick about it. And he got in Volador Jr.'s face. Oh, sorry. There was another bit right before the match where he's taking, like, they've just done the entrances, and he does the little shimmy, goes all the way up to Volador, and shimmies like right in front of him. And then Volador just turns the other way. He's just like, look at this guy. Like, look at this guy being an absolute, like, cheeky monkey. I don't want anything to do with this. Why are you in the ring with me? But it's so good. But then, yeah, just how he's adding, how he turns, like, just the way, like, Romero turns the audience in between his moves, in between the spots, and then just lets the audience know that he's here. Like, you know, he's here for money. He's here for the paycheck. He's here to be the big name. Like, look at me. Gives his little shimmy. Oh, I love it.
And he like gets that crowd so much, because like Rocky spent yonks in CMLL back in the day. Like back back in the day in the early 2000s when I first ever started watching CMLL, it was like Rocky, Ricky Reyes, TJP. I think they were the Havana brothers back in the day in the early 2000s. And then Rocky went on to, he did like a mask gimmick in CMLL. Then he eventually like jumped to AAA and was part of the famed Degeneration Mex faction.
Always hated that name.
So bad.
Like, I love the wrestlers.
Oh man, gotta love AAA.
Oh my god, yeah.
But yeah, then he has his whole last career in like New Japan, and then comes back like a lifetime later. And yeah, it's like he never left. Like he was just right fucking there, and like he understands that crowd so well, understands the style, like. And him and Volador Jr. just like mesh like perfectly from like a physical wrestling kind of sense, because like this, you know, sometimes we have two dudes that are like really good and they just, for whatever reason, the chemistry doesn't work out. But these guys, like, the chemistry was just fucking like banging the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think they missed a single step. Like they were between their dives as well, like how they, because you know when you watch, sometimes there's like a crossover between either like New Japan guys or guys from America who come down, who wrestle like at CMLL, and you just watch how they like how they take their dives or how they move around the ring, and they're expecting it to be more of a I suppose, I don't know what they're expecting, but like a non-lucha style, how they're just like, oh, your feet should be here, or you should be
like more of an Americanized style kind of thing.
Yeah, or like Japan, how they're like swinging way more punches than they need to be, or it's like way more hard hitting than it needs to be. Whereas like Rocky Romero, obviously, because he spent so much time there, he just knows how to move around the ring, and I feel like that can make or break matches when it comes to these like intercompany ones at the moment, because they're both expecting different kinds of wrestling, and even though they are aware, they've gone through the match, they know what they want done, they know how to hit their things, they know how to go for offense. They're not expecting the other person to be in certain spots. They're not expecting the person to like, oh, I'm gonna quickly go to here after a roll. This is how I recover after a roll or a bump. You know, it could be faster or slower. There's always like timing differences.
Yeah, and like the amount of space that you give a guy on certain stuff too.
Yeah, but just seeing everything, like the dives was so clean. Like you saw the amazing, like so Romero hit his dive first, right? He takes out Volador like to the outside. So he hits the first dive to the outside, taking out Volador. Gets up, gives a bit of sass, all that kind of stuff. And then moments later, they work through a sequence where Volador hits a dive. And Rocky just takes it so well. He takes it, he breaks it, and then he rolls to the outside of the barricade.
Over the barricade.
Like he flips over the barricade.
To the feet of the dudes in the front row.
Yeah, he's just laying there. And then the other people were just like, whoa, just not expecting it. But I feel like that, like, you know, when you see like weapons in matches, obviously it adds something else to the match, but sometimes it just doesn't need to be there. I feel like just giving that to the audience, where you're going into the audience and you're connecting to them just for that little bit, it makes it like cinema you can touch, like theater you can feel. Like it lets people know that there's a difference between going to the movies and going to wrestling. And then even like,
well, you might end up with a motherfucker in your lap.
Well, a motherfucker in your lap and then beer spilled everywhere. But that's the fun
that's
of
the
it.
Magic.
You know, like that's the magic of it, and that's the artistry in it. But yeah, so you see these two differences, like two like suicide dives, like two exactly the same dives, but just how they take it in different ways. But it couldn't be that good without the prior knowledge of lucha and working with each other and seeing how wrestling works and like working in Mexico.
And I guess it goes both ways too. Like Volador Jr. as a dude, you know, he's spent some time. I remember back in the day in like TNA. He's like done a bunch of like tours for New Japan before. So I guess it's sort of getting to that level where it's like, you know, that kind of universal language of wrestling where it's like this guy knows a bit about, you know, Japan style and American style. This guy like knows Mexican style, so then it all just comes together so beautifully and seamlessly.
Yeah, and the whole right arm versus left arm thing, and there was absolutely no miscommunication there whatsoever. It was all just perfect.
So great.
Like, especially considering like Romero's offense is like he's got a lot of offense in the arm. He's got some other stuff that goes to the head as well. Like he's got his sliced bread as well as his like beach break. And he's amazing. Like I love his little his like real like rolling arm meteora thing. I really don't know the name of that. Where he jumps off the top and he's got him in like a knuckle lock. And then he kind of jumps up and rides their arm to the ground and gives it a double knees.
Oh yeah, so good.
Love that. I love how and especially how he did it, rolled out, and then ended up directly in front of the camera and just blows a little kiss to the camera. Like such a cheeky little bastard. I love it.
So great. I mean, I love a lot, like you mentioned about like his offense, like the amount of it, and especially in this match, because obviously the submission on the arm is like a key part of it. But the amount that like you watch through it, that he is like working the arm, like the thing you just said, or like that first like flying arm bar that he catches. But yeah, it's sort of like it makes sense as a kind of escalation of working the body part too, which a lot of people, you know, they make out like lucha libre is just a series of spots and random high spots, and it has no like, you know, story or psychology. That's so fucking wrong when you watch a match like this.
Well, like I feel I feel like it's a really unfair statement to say they don't work a body part, because you look at dives, and this is how I've always looked at dives, is you're putting so much on the line to take out so much of theirs by making an impact. Like a person getting underneath a dive, you're hurting so many different parts of them. Like if they take the dive, they're taking the weight on their legs, their back, their shoulders, their neck, all that kind of stuff. And then doing like the suicide dives where they come out through the ropes as like a rocket. And they hit the barricade afterwards, that could be damaging so many different things. Their back, then, you know, they could be getting whiplash as they hit the barricade. They could be taking it on their arm as they kind of try and turn and protect themselves. So, like, in my mind, a dive like that is working a body part. It's working the whole body as one, but then from there you can, like, pick apart bits. And then so Romero from there knows he can pick apart, you know, he's hit his head on the way down, he's hit his back and his arm hitting the barricade. I'm going to pull apart the head and the arm because that's part of my offense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I think it's the wits in wrestling going, you know, what can I attack? Have I made an opportunity for myself? You know, if you see like, you know, predators in the wild do the same thing. They see something limping, they're just like, why would I go for the strong antelope when there's this one limping right in front of me? You know, they're playing the odds there. They're going, right, I'm going to attack this injured part.
That's just like that sneaky Rocky Romero.
Just like that sneaky, the predator of CMLL.
I
The
love it.
lion of CMLL. But yeah, and then I don't know, and then obviously like Volador's going through his offense and his very like lucha based offense, and I still just can't believe how athletic Volador is, especially for someone as fucking jacked as he is.
Oh man,
He
he's
is
definitely on
huge.
his share of gear, I reckon.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna say gear. I was gonna say hard work.
I mean,
But,
that's what I
yeah,
mean by gear. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Anything
yeah. No,
else?
definitely just hard work. Great guy, great guy. But yeah, he's just like his little like part of the opening part of the match where they're doing a little running spot and then he goes for a springboard and then just does the snappiest little backflip. I swear he was going to land on his head.
He's so good.
But no, snappiest little backflip. Yeah, they're just so good. Like, such great chemistry. Some amazing moves in it, both from Volador and from Romero.
Those like barricade spots on the outside are one of my favorite things, and again one of those things that really like you were saying, it sort of gets those fans to the next level, especially the ones that are like at ringside.
Yeah.
Like the really like I remember there was another one where he like whipped him into the barricade and he took that great like hard like took it real hard on the back and then basically like backflip bumped over the barricade into the front row as well.
Yeah.
I fucking love that so much. And then
really spilled the beers in this match.
And that's good for everyone. That's good for alcohol sales. You know, you gotta buy another cup after that.
That's it. They're not getting free beers. There's no free beers in Arena Mexico.
This is the magic when you own the venue. You're the one that's making the money off of those drink sales. So it's like, yeah, guys, fucking knock all the cervezas out of the hands as you possibly can.
And then the margaritas out of those fucking Westerners. Out of those bloody tourists.
So good. That superplex spot as well off the barricade was rad.
Oh my god. That was so. I was watching it. I was just like, don't say it. Don't say something's going to go wrong. Don't say something's going to go wrong. And then like they hit the superplex and it can't feel very right. Like that just seemed so painful. They both bounced. Like Volador taking it just absolutely bounced. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I hope the floor's okay because that dude is huge. Yeah, and then the same, you know, big high spots as well, like the Spanish Fly, Volador's Spanish Fly towards the end of the match there. I know I'm not keeping a very good job of like keeping it.
No. We're not necessarily here to do a play-by-play, just sort of all the stuff that we thought was rad and worth talking about, really. Yeah. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah. No, but then, you know, the high spots, and then that leads us to the, you know, all the high spots in the matches going to the top, and a high risk, high reward can probably bring us back to this amazing piece of yours. You know, the big move at the end, big high spot, big risk. Rocky Romero's flying armbar
off the top rope. This is a fucking beautiful move. Hey,
amazing! Just the way they hit it.
I mean, amazing. you would know more than most because you also have a bit of a submission grappling background. So I mean, from that perspective, how's Rocky's work on those? Because he had two, right? The flying armbar from standing, and then the one that ended up being the big finish, right?
Yeah. So like everyone loves an armbar. It's one of the most recognizable things. That and like a chokehold are one of the most recognizable things for the crowd to just get on board because everyone knows what it feels like to have their like arm hyperflexed or whatever. Like it's not hard to kind of signal to the audience that this is a painful move. This hurts. And one of the things I love about wrestling done well is when they do a move on the mat, even though he like jumped into it the first time, go for an armbar. You're signaling there that this is going to be a big part of the match. Like the way they sell it, the way they build up to it. It's going to be a big part of the match. The audience can clearly see armbar. They know that hurts from watching from any kind of MMA, from any kind of submission grappling. Just from you flick on wrestling and you might even see an armbar somewhere in the show. No matter what company you watch with, an armbar is like a timeless hold.
For sure.
So then you see Rocky do it, and then do it from the top. Doing this
before
amazing...
that one, I wanted to make mention as well of the first one that he did, right? And then Volador Jr. like is in it, and then he does the right thing. He does the old hitchhiker, follows the pressure, and then ends up lifting Rocky up for this sick. Was it like a power bomb, like a Liger bomb kind of thing?
Yeah. With like a single arm, might I add. Like he lifts him off the ground with just... I was just like, surely he's going to get his other arm under there and lift him. But no, he like powers him off the ground.
Big strong boy.
Initially, with just the one arm. Yeah, that died. Just lifting him off the ground with that one arm first.
And when that's happening as well, I want to make mention, my favorite part of it is like Rocky's like facial expression of his like, oh, no, like there's that over the top like, oh fuck,
no.
like so good.
I love how they make that as if they're stuck on like this crazy roller coaster ride, as if they couldn't just let go. They're just like, no, I'm as locked into this as you are, brother. Like, we're going for this ride. It's happening. We're going to Splash Mountain, baby.
There's no going backwards at that point.
No, there's no fucking brakes on this freak train. But yeah, just like strong arms him up, and then just like this amazing power. I think it was a power bomb.
Yeah, sick near fall.
But yeah, big near fall was Rocky's facial expressions and how he gets the audience involved in it, which I think is one of the most important parts in wrestling. It's what sells wrestling. It's as a entertainment factor to me. You need to be able to entertain people. That's all they want at the end of the day.
It's the most important thing.
It's all people pay tickets for. It's like it doesn't have to be the be all and end all. You know, you can take your kids to the park to ride a bike. You can go out for a nice hike. You can go see a movie. You can go watch wrestling. It's whatever entertains you. And then people get caught up in all the questions around wrestling. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't entertain you, fine. But when you let it entertain you, you find things like this where you get just so sucked into it. And then especially things like CMLL, especially this match.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest compliment of this match as well. Like that,
just get drawn into it.
Could draw anyone in, you know, regardless of whether you're like a hardcore like wrestling fan or whether you're just like a drunken gringo simping some fucking margaritas. Like you'll equally get us into this match regardless.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the biggest compliment you could possibly pay this. Really, it's gonna like draw in anyone because of like what a great job they did.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like they've just done such a good job for pro wrestling in this match. They've given me everything I wanted out of both a lucha match and from just wrestlers in general. Just some amazing time work, some amazing like chemistry in them, moves that are all over the place but so connected, like so much different offense, but they're connecting it all together, telling a story as it should be. Like nothing's gone to waste. And then finishing off with this amazing top rope flying armbar, like almost Spanish fly-esque into an armbar.
And they did it so well. It's like as soon as he like hits it, like they land, and then he's like right into it. It's like it's not that bullshit.
Ripping it off.
Yeah, it's like straight up. Like the referee's like worried. He's like getting in there. It looks like he's basically given up like sort of immediately, but he doesn't look like a bitch for doing so. Like it was just so perfect.
Exactly. Like submission wrestling can be so awkward and clunky at times. It's on the person who's taking it to recognize, shit, I've really got to, this is the big one. It's coming on fast. Don't be afraid to just tap out. It makes everyone look good. Makes absolutely everyone look good. It makes the offense look amazing. You don't look like a little bitch for tapping out quickly.
And shout out to the rad referee too. I think his name's
Getting in
Edgar
there.
Edgar Noriega, but he's this like massive Bane looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
And like he's getting in there straight away, and it's his selling of it that like almost as much as Rocky and Volador Jr.'s that like makes it come off so well.
Well, he gets straight over the top, and then as soon as Volador's tapping, he's waving his arms, going, "Match is over, match is over." And instead of just doing that and going like, "Oh yeah, okay," he gets in there further and then tries to like rip Rocky away. And he's like, "The match is over, the match is over."
Brings like a real like mixed martial arts, almost that UFC kind of vibe to it. That I think brings it that next level.
But Noriega does such a, because he's the referee for like every single match on the card.
Yeah, basically. It's either him or some like ancient motherfucker that looks like he's in his 70s, which I like both.
Yeah, both, but every single match. So again, I was like watching everything, and the way he you know how usually you see referees just kind of wait there until the person walks into the center and then they grab their arm and they lift it. He actually goes up to, like you would see in MMA, like you would see in boxing, he goes and grabs the victor's arm, pulls him into the center, and then raises a hand. Like as he should, as a referee, as a combat referee. You go in there, you grab the victor's arm and you raise it. Like no matter what, no matter how, you know, how they've gone about getting the victory, you raise the person's hand.
Yeah. So great.
And he does such a good job of it. Like, I know all throughout but you watch, because usually like the referee for some reason becomes invisible. Unless you're watching for him, he becomes absolutely invisible. But then at points in the match when you do see him, they're doing running spots or they're doing dives, you see how fast he moves out of the way, or you see how fast he makes himself scarce. But then when you need him, he's right there and he's giving you that like big fight feel as he really gets into it. You know, with his pinfalls.
So great. Lucha Libre referees, like these dudes that have been doing it for so long. It's like you just see an art, even like we're talking about the art of like the Rudos making the Technicos look good. It's like even the referees are so good that they're making both guys look.
Yeah, they do such a good job. So very end of the match, the big flying armbar, the referee getting in on it all, and then it's all captured here in your piece that you've done here.
There was a bit of a thing where I was like a little bit unsure of which moment I was going to pick to be the one that I made in a representation of the match for the illustration. So there's a few moments throughout where I was like thinking about it, but like as soon as it got to that finish, like that was such a sick visual, and especially like I want to bring like attention to how much I love that like overhead camera, like that really distinctive CMLL looking down on the ring overhead camera that I love so much. Yeah, all these things I was like, yep, that is the one. And yeah, I don't know, I hope I did it justice.
Yeah, it's done a beautiful job of capturing it. There's so many, you know, especially in Lucha Libre, there's so many different colors and all that kind of stuff. They got the gold and black there for Rocky Romero. Is amazing. What I can only describe as like Versace tights.
How good were they?
So
Had like a lion on the ass as well,
and it's like eye patch that matched as well.
Oh, that dude knows fashion.
He's amazing builded. Yeah, he does. Honestly, I wish he'd wrestle in the eye patch again. But yeah, but his yeah, and then Volador as well. Like, as much as I've kind of, you know, really put over Rocky with this match because I absolutely love him. Not that he needed my help. But, you know, as much as I've gone on about how amazing he's made this match, Volador as well, as being like the chemistry that he's brought to it. Everything he's done for it. He took such an absolute beating.
And just what a freak he is for like, yeah, hits everything so perfect, like so quick, so snappy, but also like it's not like he's just a spotty, you know, high spots guy. Like he also connects it with those little things of the subtleties in the way that he was, you know, selling these like Rocky's like arsehole heel moments. Or when he's like looking out to the crowd for the sympathy kind of thing with that Mystico kind of selling. Like he's really good. Sometimes I would get a little bit like over Volador Jr. can be a little bit samesies sometimes. But in this match, I was like, this dude is fucking the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that was an excellent summary of the match. If any of you out there haven't already seen it, make sure to watch it on YouTube, CMLL's YouTube page. This is actually from the time when they posted all their shit for free on YouTube on a couple week delay. For now, with their current stuff, they've got more of a subscription kind of deal going. So if you want to watch this one, you can watch it for free, get a little taster there. But I assume if you've heard us talk this long, you've probably already watched it. But it was just tremendous, and I've heard talk, at least from a shout out to Cubs fan over at Lucha Blog. He was what I originally read about how great this match was. Talk of it being the Lucha Libre match of the year right now. So, I mean, I'll continue watching, but at the moment, yeah, fuck yeah,
That was wonderful.
so great. All right, man. I know you got to get to work, my dude. You want to plug anything?
Probably just Chris things, mate. Honestly, like,
Aw,
you do such a good job. You do such a good job of
isn't that sweet?
keeping us up to date. Yeah, there you go. Fucking have some of that. Get that up here. You do such a good job.
Thanks, my dude.
I know that you've gone. If other people don't know, if you haven't let them know now, you've gone full time into your artistry at the moment, and I can only commend how brave that is, that you're doing something that you absolutely love. And I don't respect anything more than just you living life the way you want to live it. It's with your art, with your wrestling, coffees, beers, weed as well. Give a little shout out to them. And I've always been a big fan of your art. And then now that you've gone into making it your living, like, I'm very proud of you, mate. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, that's one plug.
Oh, thanks, dude. I really do appreciate that. You've always been one of my biggest supporters, and I really appreciate it. I love you, dude.
Damn right. Now give me some money.
You're right. I'll give you your fee.
Thanks, man.
Put me over so much. Thanks, man.
All right, bro.
All right, appreciate it. You take care, dude.
All right, love you. I
love you
Chris
too.
Things. You as well, brother. All right, bye.
Thanks, dude. Cheers, bye. All right, wasn't that lovely? It's beautiful. And then instead of plugging his own shit, he just plugs me. Just such a sweetheart. This is why David is my best friend. But that was our match of the week chat. As David mentioned, check out my shit at Chris Things on the Instagram and on the Twitter. You can also check out christhings.com.au, where this match and many others are available in fancy art print form, as well as some originals and all sorts of shit. Check it out. Also want a big thank you to Social Suplex. Check out socialsuplex.com. A bunch of other rad podcasts such as One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, their New Japan podcast, and even All Elite Wrestling podcast. A bunch of great stuff. But thanks to the dudes at Social Suplex. Thank you again to you, the listener, for bringing me into me and David into your ear holes. Listen to us just ramble on about a bunch of nonsense as well as some wrestling, but I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week, and a little note ski for the art curator special episode, the wrestling art curator episode. It's maybe been delayed a little bit while I'm chasing up our guest this week, but I'll have something for you on that next week. All right. Well, thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you later. Bye.